You don't have to shout to stand out. You just need a message that moves people. Hello and welcome to Deals with Heels, where female entrepreneurs thrive. I'm Debra, your host. Welcome to the show. I have a great guest here today that is going to talk to us about storytelling and really standing out and getting clear on our message when we do our personal branding. So let's just dive in. Lauren Kwedar-Cockerell is the founder and president of Kwedar & Co., a boutique strategic communications firm that helps business owners grow with clarity, confidence, and integrity. Her team provides both thinking and doing behind thoughtful PR and marketing so clients can focus on building meaningful business without losing themselves in the process. Today, we're diving into visibility, storytelling, and strategic communication for women who want to be known for the impact that they're already making. So please join me in welcoming Lauren to the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Debra. I'm super pumped for our conversation today.
I am too. I love this whole space of really building confidence and clarity within a personal brand. It's so important now, authenticity, because of all the AI things, and really being able to show the value that we can provide is super important. And I always start with talking about your specific entrepreneurial journey. I only have female entrepreneurs as guests, and yours really began with a layoff while you were 8 months pregnant. Walk us through that moment. What shifted for you mentally and emotionally? That had to have been quite a thing. So tell us your story. How did you
It was
get
a
to that
tender
spot?
time. Yes. So that was 5 years into an in-house role. I started my journey at an agency and was there for a decade and ultimately departed there and went in to serve an IT company. So that was an interesting shift. Got to see the view from the other side of the table, but I really missed the client relationships and solving problems for people, having these really deep, nurturing relationships with clients. And so pretty quickly into that journey, I realized one day I want to go back to agency side and I'd like to own my own. And so that was always the dream. And I thought, well, when I turn 40, I'll know everything then. And so that will be the perfect time to start my agency. Just a quick spoiler alert. When I turned 40 4 years ago, I did not figure everything out. But so that was just a lie I told myself.
That bar just keeps moving, doesn't it?
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So fast forward 5 years, things really weren't going well for me at this company. It was extremely toxic environment, and my husband and I had already made the decision together that, after I have this second kiddo of ours, at some point that year, I will depart and I'll go figure something else out. But, I'm not 40 yet. I don't know everything. So maybe it's not going to be my agency. But then they ended up crowbarring me out of the company. It was kind of one of those really difficult things. It was probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me because I was really kind of trapped there. I'd lost a lot of confidence due to just how they ran things and how they spoke to me on a daily basis. So I had sort of saw the writing on the wall a little bit before they let me go. I went to my husband. I said, I feel things shifting. I'm an empath by nature. I was like, they're kind of speaking to me differently. Things are changing. I'm getting anxious. I think they're going to let me go. How much runway do we have? Because I really can't go interview right now.
I know, right?
He's like, don't worry. We've got, X number of months, just kind of do what you need to do. And I reached out to my first boss and she's a mentor of mine, and just let her know, like, hey, I'm going to be available for side projects, or, if you want to work on something together, it's kind of like I started like dropping little lines in the water. I even bought a domain name for what I thought the company would be called. We'd, put it on a napkin, a cocktail napkin at dinner one night over the years. And then, one morning in October of 2017, they called me up and laid me off. And I just thought, oh my.
I mean, and
Yeah.
8 months pregnant to lay someone off. What a
Yeah.
shitty thing to do. I mean,
It was, yeah. I'm just
if you're
sobbing.
going to do it, you're going to do it now. So you don't have to pay my family leave or whatever that is.
Yeah. I mean, they gave me a nice severance. They essentially started my leave that day. So,
okay, well, that's good. But still, I mean,
it was,
you're so emotional at that time.
It was tough, but at the same time, like, If not now, when? When will be the time? And coincidentally, ironically, however you wanna say, I had just that morning mailed a $5,000 check to a coach I was hiring to help me figure out what was next because I had been so broken down. I was just like, I'd lost so much confidence in myself, whether I was gonna go for another job or finally start this company. I just didn't really know which way was up, and I needed someone to kinda help put me back together again. And so the mail truck is pulling away as they're laying me off. I'm like, "Oh, come back." But that ended up being very
I
fortuitous
was
because
gonna
she
say,
yeah,
right?
was
Money well
perfect.
spent. It's like lining
Absolutely.
everything up. And one thing that I learned was, boy, if you're not on your soul path for where you're supposed to be for that time in your life, man, God will screw up your life royally to get you there,
That's right.
right? I mean,
That's it, 100%. It was because I was having that realization on a daily basis because they kinda moved me into a sales role, so I'm selling commodities, like literally just the lowest cost of hosting or Office 365. And I'm like wanting to help these people, like, well, maybe we do this, we architect, whatever. Like, no, just give me the cheapest thing. I'm like, this is not what God put me here to do.
I'm telling you, and I could get a struggle too because I'll have somebody that's just buying advertising for me. I've got some great paid digital advertising that'll drive lots of traffic into a website or a sales funnel. But if their website and their sales funnel and all of their stuff isn't put together great, then it doesn't matter how many clicks I get or how many actions or any of those things. And you're not paying me for my marketing stuff. You're just buying ads and for me to manage the ads. And so it's always, cause I really want to help people and I would give them, especially when I first started, so much of my time because I wanted to help them, but time I didn't get compensated on and time that I could have been spending prospecting or doing client work or any of that stuff. It was really hard for me to really honor that part of what I offer is strategy and
Mm,
planning and
mhm,
marketing and all of
mhm,
that, but you're not
mm,
paying me for that.
right.
You need help, whether it's me or it's somebody else, you need help with this thing right
Mhm.
there.
Yep. Yep. Some of us are just incurable problem solvers and
I
being put in
know.
a box
And
where
you can and when you can see it and you realize that that's what the issue is, it's difficult. You don't really know how exactly, but I just have those conversations. That's what it is. If this part's working, then there's a breakdown somewhere else and all these people are coming to your website and not connecting.
100%.
So it's a thing, right? Let's see. So why do you think we're back to women that are already doing incredible things, right? Already doing so many. Why do we struggle to really highlight them and
Yeah.
right?
Well, I think there's a couple things to that. One is, I mean, really, I think human nature and why you and I get to be in business is because it's hard to read the label from inside the bottle. It's really hard to discern which of your darlings you need to cut and kill, and what matters to other people. It's hard to self edit sometimes, and so when you partner with someone like us, where we're able to see like we can care about you. We're like inside outsiders. We're able to see both what the customer wants and needs, as well as what makes you different and makes you shine, and we can get rid of the red herrings and really distill it down to something clear and crisp. It's hard to do. It's hard to do. I can't do it for myself. I'm terrible at it for myself. But when someone else can, when a team member can come help, think through things. And then I think the other thing is, yeah, I think for women, we're told to dull our sparkle. Not don't be too much. You're being too much. You're being too bossy. You're being too this, too that. And we are a lot of us are conditioned from an early age to turn down the volume. And so when we get to be adults and it's time to be like, okay, now you need to talk about yourself. It's like it's like you're in extreme modes. It's like you say nothing or you say too much, or it's really hard to thread that needle, especially on your own.
It really is, and the value perspective of it. I was just talking with another guest about that. That value perspective, understanding all of the things about you and how valuable they are and being able to stand in it and hold it and know that it is because watering for me it was the watering myself down because I can be intense and loud sometimes and creative and I can make people feel uncomfortable sometimes and honest, direct and honest. And it can make people feel really uncomfortable. And so that made me definitely, for about, I don't know, 50 years, made me really water myself down under a lot of different circumstances. Of course, there were times and places when I didn't, but for the most part, I did. I shrank back and supported other people and took care of other people. And I decided when I started my life, I'm never watering myself down to make someone feel comfortable ever again. Every part of me is valuable. God made me this way with these gifts. And I have to remind myself. I have to
Mhm.
remind myself of those things. I think that's
Mhm.
part of it too. It's hard to hold it.
Yep. My therapist just this morning was calling me out for not giving myself enough credit for something. And as an empath and just someone who's like a natural servant leader, like I'm more focused on how something is going to impact somebody else versus how do I actually feel in this moment, or what do I need or want, or how am I really showing up? And so, we've been checking ourselves for so long. Now it's time to really look inward. And yeah, you have all these incredible gifts. You are uniquely you. Yeah, there might be things that you do that are similar to so and so and so and so, but when you combine them all together, you get a unique mix. So it's like, okay, number 1, okay, yeah, so a lot of people do that. Number 2, you start to narrow the field even further. By the time you get to number 3, there should be a field of 1, and that's you.
Right. And it's when you connect with somebody too, right? There's lots of different kinds of coaches out there, but when you meet the one that you think is going to help you with your specific stuff, it's about collaborating because we all identify and connect with people in a specific way. One of the things that really I liked about what you do is the PR side and the storytelling, because most people don't they think of PR as something that the hospital does when they go have a press conference or a politician. They don't understand that PR is part of marketing and sales. It's just in a softer voice. And it's promotion and it's really important. And so adding that storytelling, because I do mindset coaching specifically for sales and confidence, but the stories we repeatedly tell ourselves, that feedback loop, that all of the thought data that we give ourselves that feed our own mindset and changing that mindset towards something more productive and positive. We don't have to coach to do it from a negative point because we're hard on ourselves and repeat those messages all the time. But swapping that and taking all of the great things about each of us or a woman that is already doing those great things and telling a story about it. Let's unpack that a little bit because that's what you do, right?
Absolutely. It's the absolute favorite thing that I do is being able to have a client and meet with them and ask them a series of questions that really, I like to say, will crack open the chest of the business and pull out the beating heart and showing it to them. Be like, look at what you're doing. Look at how well you serve your people, your community, your customers, your employees, and all these things that do that. You're so uniquely you. Stop selling yourself short, and then, like, showing them we repeat back to them a lot of what they're saying, but we're repackaging it in a way that is some in a way that they've never thought about it before, and it's a really emotional process for them, and watching and then they see how that resonates with the media and their clientele who see the stories, and it's such a virtuous, fulfilling cycle. I really do love it, and you talked about authenticity at the top of the podcast, and yeah, you're right. It is more important now than ever because people are creating content at a rate that has never been created before because we have these tools, but everyone sounds exactly the same. And, being able to show up in a way that's uniquely and authentically you makes it so much easier for you to be in conversation with people, makes it a lot easier to remember. It's so much stickier when it's just interesting rather than corporate mad libs. I just fill in the blank of synergistic jargon.
I
And it's
mean, if
just
you just plug all that in AI, it'll
yeah,
pop out some stuff. But if it's
right,
not authentically you, then it's not going to resonate.
right.
Authenticity is so important. And you can tell when you're talking to somebody that's not. It's the vibe that you get from them. You can just feel that they're holding back or something's off.
Yeah. I personally shut down now when I see or hear something that I'm like, "Okay, thanks, ChatGPT." I
I
mean,
mean, and
I
don't
use
get me
AI tools, but
right. It is a tool. It can't create, it can
no, not
mimic,
yet, but
it can, I don't know. I think that the human element part of it, and definitely the big social media and search algorithms are definitely seeing this. We saw just a couple of weeks ago press from Meta and X and YouTube about applying less value in the algorithm for AI content. So they'll get showed less and less. They know too. People are the thing. Humanity, we're the ones that create the humor and the real stories that actually happen to us, that vulnerability. AI cannot duplicate vulnerability.
when it tries, it's really off-putting.
It's not, yeah, you can really tell. But
You
using it
can.
for a tool, fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
you have to bring your own story, your own expertise, your own point of view to the conversation. Even if you need help crafting the story, you have to have all of those ingredients to bake a cake that is actually going to be interesting. Because if you don't, if you just say like, I don't know what to write today, me, Chad, just, whip up a LinkedIn post for me, it's going to do what it knows how to do, which is pull from existing content, and therefore you're just ripping other people off as well. So you're plagiarizing and you're not being yourself. So just don't do that.
And you may think that it knows you, but unless you've specifically told it to remember and it's actually programmed to remember those types of things, it
Hmm.
doesn't remember that.
Yeah, you do have to
And
train it. Yeah.
right, I have to often go back and remind, hey, but remember this, we're not focusing on that because of this and this and this. I mean, I actually had it gave the wrong date on something. It was I was working on a campaign, an anniversary campaign for a client. They had been in business 5 years. This was in October, so pretty recent. And it gave me a date that was in May, and it was the wrong year. And I said, where did that date come from? And so the May came from their BB because they had started under a different name and changed their name, and they'll let them, because it's the same type of a business, they'll let them maintain from the BBB. But the date, yeah, it told me it was a typo. Okay. How did you make a typo? Because you don't actually have fingers that are typing. A typo. They said 2021 instead of 2020. Oh, they said 2001 instead of 2021. It was a typo. It was off by like 20 years. And they said it was a typo. So you can't just blanketly let them do it. That's what all of the AI created content tells you that you can do. And you can, but it won't be authentic and often won't be accurate, or they wouldn't have had the new term AI hallucination, where it will
Hmm.
just make things up to make you happy if you don't
Right.
prompt it correctly. So human storytelling is really, really important. And I don't think we'll ever get to the point where it can truly be vulnerable. But boy, it can learn empathy from your website. I had a guest that had an AI receptionist program, and I later called. She gave me a demonstration, and I called, and it was a funeral home. I spoke to an AI receptionist that I couldn't tell was an AI. That's how
Wow.
empathetic it was. But
Wow.
it learned that from the website. If you have a great
Yeah.
website that was full of empathy,
Yeah.
and it learns as
Hmm.
it goes with those
Hmm.
promptings. So anyway, not as good as
Right.
humans and not
The
as good as you.
iteration is where, that really comes into play, but that first kernel of human vulnerable content is where you need to have that, and then you can go from there for sure.
So I think a lot of people really, and you really talk about clarity. I think having that clarity of message, right? What exactly am I trying to say is pretty important. And how can you tell what's your first sign that somebody has a clarity of message problem, right? Tell me like a nice way of saying that they don't have what they're saying under control. And
There's a couple of symptoms. Are you saying something different in every conversation that you're having? Like, are you just playing pin the tail on the donkey and just kind of like
Yeah.
stabbing wildly. If you're that's a big telltale sign. Another is that you explain what it is that you do, but you still get like a lot of questions, a lot of follow-up questions, or you're not closing deals, or you're getting leads, but they're not converting because they're not your ideal client. So the value of the lead is poor. If you're not all singing from the same choir sheet, if you've got team members saying one thing, they're kind of riffing over here, but you want them to say another thing. So there's a couple of areas that tell us pretty quickly. And honestly, it's like if you've really never worked with someone before to clarify your message, it's likely not super crystal clear. Like I said before, I mean, it's just the curse of knowledge. It is so difficult to do it for yourself.
And we think that, well, that should just be implied that we do that, or that that's the way. Why don't they just understand that that's what I'm trying to say? It just doesn't work that way. You really, and it's going by fast. Content's just flying at us so fast. So really getting that compelling story in there is important to get people to actually listen and pay attention.
Right, right. It's like, the first line of copy is job is to get you to read the second line and so on. So it's like that's our job is, okay, we gotta distill it down to its essence and have you be differentiated from your competition so that in a single sentence, you've got so many people interested, be like, "Oh, okay, tell me more. All right, now you can get into the longer story, but that you gotta get that first down bite down for sure."
You do. And that philosophy of getting this one to get them to read this one really ties into the sales process, right? I'm a sales coach. And so the old school way of getting people to nod, is that right? The nodding
Mhm,
and,
mhm.
okay, I'm getting
Yeah.
their understanding, their
Right.
right.
And it's
And
not
so
about you.
no, it's
That's
not. But when you
yeah.
see them, so now
Mhm,
like the
mhm,
carousel ads and
mhm.
to get them to
Yeah.
just swipe one more time, it really sticks that message in that consumer's brain the way in a sales conversation when you see
Yeah.
them nodding, right?
At
That
the one of
sliding
the
across.
back to what do you need a clear message? Like, if it's solely focused on what you do and, how long you've been in business, it's not clear because it needs to be about who you're serving. Like, the customer should be the very first,
Right. What
you know
problems are you solving? How are you
exactly.
helping them? How are you doing that? Let's talk about ways to incorporate actual PR into a small business, let's say marketing campaign. I mean, I love to work with PR people because I sell native ads and I often write them myself. I'm a pretty good copywriter myself, but when somebody's already got their story done, boy, those native ads are so easy
Yep.
and easy to click on. They're a great story to begin with. And so let's talk about that.
Right. Yeah. Well, that tees up one pillar perfectly in that, marketing and PR need to work very closely together. There should be no separation really between the two. We need to share assets. We need to, if you're running an ad campaign, that cannot be disparate from the PR campaign. Like the bottom line is the bottom line. So if you're running carousel ads for a new product or service, that all has to be in lockstep with whatever we're selling on the PR side because the moment there's a break in that story, now you're just breeding a distrust with your consumer. So make sure that the PR and marketing is working very well together, closely together. If it's not the same team, that they are, in lockstep. So yeah, we love PR obviously, and there's a lot of tools in our toolbox that we use depending on what's going on, and we love our these long term relationships that we have with clients where the stories like just build upon themselves year after year. And we are actually spoiler, you're the first person to hear this outside of our team this morning.
Yay.
Our clients that have been with us for a few years have tripled or doubled their coverage this year that we did last year, and sometimes with fewer news releases. So it's just like the proliferation of content that we've generated for our clients has
And that's
skyrocketed.
messaging, you guys. That's contacts but messaging and getting it really keyed in on the audience where it reaches more people because it's so on target.
Yeah, yeah. So because of that, one thing that you should take away from that is consistency. So what you do all the time versus what you do once in a blue moon is what really starts to move that needle. Wanting to look at relationships with the media is an actual relationship with another human being. Some people who are new to PR might think of it more and like you're you're using it as a tool, which okay, it is, but we can't use other people. We need to be thinking about what are their wants and needs as well, and what's going to make the reporter or producer what's going to make their lives better, and how can you show up as a partner to provide them with great content that helps their outlet thrive. So that's, I
Amen
mean,
to that. Right? I mean,
it's one of
I'm
my little
always
soapboxes I have to climb up onto.
I have worked a long time in marketing in this market in Oklahoma City. And even after I was away raising kids and running businesses, and I wasn't really out in the media very often, I still hold that reputation. And if there's a promotion or an event that I'm doing and I ask you to come in, it's going to be good for you because I make sure it is. It's a win-win for everyone. I can see patterns where sometimes people can't on how it will be good for them, but it is that collaboration is key in building relationships coming in. And if you don't have any, that's okay. You can hire a PR firm that does have them. If you don't want to go meet the reporter and talk to them and figure it out, that's okay. That's what a PR firm is. Or if you're a nonprofit, somebody on your board, that's how I did a lot of PR starting was being on the board of a nonprofit and needing to do a lot of PR
Yeah,
for them.
right,
And so those relationships are key. Once you've done some and they were successful stories for them, they come back because they
right,
know it's going to be good. And
exactly.
that reporter wants to keep their job too.
Hmm.
They're just
Yeah,
out there hustling up just like us.
right, and more so in many cases.
Right. And under huge scrutiny, right?
And
Ratings.
deadlines you wouldn't
Mm,
believe. So,
yes.
so anyone can send out a news release. AI makes that easy. Whether it's good or not is a conversation, a different conversation. But it's again, it's not just sending it. It's then how are you nurturing that relationship? How are you following up? How are you providing what they need? I mean, we try to make it so that if someone is under the gun of a deadline, they can copy and paste, they can open the Google Drive that has all the assets in it, and they've got a multimedia story ready to go. If they've got a little more time and they're inspired, we can do interviews and just, we try to make things super easy for them and for our clients because we're all spinning a lot of plates. And so, how can we make everybody's lives easier and more successful? And so, having a great
Making it
story. Yeah.
where they can copy and paste it. Boy, if you're good, they can copy it and paste it exactly the way you wrote it.
It's yeah,
That is the
some
key. If you make it easy for
Huh?
them and it's good, they're like, okay, look, I
Yeah.
filled that
Put your name
spot,
on it,
move
I don't
on.
care.
But if there's I mean, I always tie it in. I don't do a ton of PR for others anymore. I used to, but if you tie it in to whatever local thing, which a great PR firm is always going to do, man, it can go a long ways.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great tip. Like if you're not quite sure how to get started, thinking in terms of what's your specific thing that you're offering, and if it's happening on a national scale, like say you're in finance and something is happening at the Fed, and you can call a local reporter and just say, "Hey, I'm so and so. Here's my expertise. If you're ever wanting to provide a local context for what's happening on a national level, here's the three things I can talk about and make it make sense for your local market." And that's an easy way to offer something up. And then the next steps would be like the next time you see them write a story that's in your domain, be like, "Great story, Tom." And leave it at that. Just create the relationship. Remember, they're human beings. They like to be told they did a good job too. Follow them on LinkedIn, give them a thumbs up when they've written an article. And so doing things like that to begin to nurture the relationship. If you don't have the wherewithal or a desire to hire a PR firm, that will help get you along the way, and then you can start getting some wins for sure.
And can you do it with, I mean, I know AI writes press releases. Do you have to have the press release or can you call the news desk
Oh, you can totally call. It's just with everyone's, I mean, it's got to be a really good
to
story,
just
and you've got
call?
to
It's got to be something good.
you got to pitch like you've never pitched before, because they're going to want to know, why. And so they're like, yeah, why, when is it, maybe it's intimidating.
It is. It is. It is.
you
Even
know,
when you
s-
know the person, it's
yeah, but
intimidating
you need to
because
follow
they
up.
Yeah, because they're going to be under the microscope too. You got to give them their bullet points on why your story is a good one. But being
Exactly.
able to cut and paste it for print is really important. And if you're a small business entrepreneur, I like the hometown newspaper thing. That's a
Oh,
good
yeah.
way to get your feet wet because if
Mhm,
your
mhm.
hometown girl does good,
Mhm,
then
mhm.
that's always a nice story.
We always do. Like anytime we're doing a campaign, even if the company has a national reach, we're like, where are your headquarters? What are the outlets there? Because you want to build that foundation in your headquarters city and then build from there. Like, A, you need to get your reps in a smaller market. And by the time, if you do your local NBC affiliate, by the time you're on the Today Show, you've done a few, you're not, you're more ready for it. But you don't want to start at the Today Show.
Right. And sometimes your local stuff will get something picked up by
Mhm.
AP that
Absolutely.
a bigger
Mhm.
one won't because they create that local appeal part of it. And they
Absolutely.
all love those good feeling stories. So once it
100%.
it has a different impact when it can come. Now, my little hometown's very, very small and isn't getting anything in the AV, but if your base is in Wichita or another city but you're doing a national campaign, those smaller home communities can
Yeah.
definitely help too.
Absolutely build go as small as you can if as you're starting out, industries have the most focused magazines I've ever seen. They crack me up, the names of them. But start with your niche publications too and begin there and be realistic and go small and then build.
Great, great advice. What do you think will matter most in personal branding in the next couple of years?
Ooh, yeah, authenticity and clarity for sure. I mean, I can't imagine anything else mattering as much as that. Like who are you showing up as that person with a very clear point of view and voice and who you serve, and just rinse and repeat week after week.
It really feels like you say the same thing over and over again, and you do, but the same people aren't listening,
Right, right. Yeah,
right?
the algorithm is going to algorithm.
That's the whole point. And yes, we have repeat listeners, but also it goes out to a lot of new people. And so saying it again and again is really important. And sometimes people are stubborn. They need to hear it from multiple sources before
Right.
they
We
finally.
we tell people that about the time you're really sick of it is about the time people are just starting to notice.
So if someone is out there thinking, boy, she described me, I'm all over the place with all my stuff, what's the first thing they should do to try to get clear on their message?
You need to figure out, like we said earlier, like what is the number one problem you're solving and who is it for? And what does that mean for that group? So we like to think, okay, who's your favorite client or customer? Maybe you have to, there's somebody, I promise. If you could plant them in the ground and grow 100 more of them, you would never have to do another thing in your life to market your business. Think about them and build around them as far as like what are their hopes, dreams, fears, problems, and how are you showing up alongside them? Things get so much clearer when you have that person I've got, probably 2 or 3 for our firm that we think in terms of we're like, "Oh, we just love working with them. When the phone rings, we're glad it's them. If they've got a question, or need something, we're jumping out of our chairs to serve them." You've got those too, so think about them and hopefully they're paying you what you're worth and figure out how to go get more of them.
No kidding, right? That's the name of the game.
Mhm.
Of course, all great conversations have to come to an end, right? They always go so fast when we're all in it with the storytelling. And I will link to all of Lauren's stuff in the show notes. But for people that aren't going to look in the show notes that want to write it down now, how can my audience find out more about you and the services that you offer?
Perfect. Thank you. So our website and all of our socials is Kwedar-Co. So Kwedarco. That's .com. And then all of our social medias. And then I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So Lauren Kwedar-Cockerell. Look for me there. I post a couple times a week. You can always send me a DM there. And then I also have a podcast as well. It's called The Impatient Entrepreneur. So if you are very eager for whatever is next and can hardly wait to get there, then you'll be in great company listening over there.
I think the impatient entrepreneur is the best freaking name
Thank
because
you.
all entrepreneurs are impatient, right? We want
Yep.
it. I'm doing it. I'm doing my
Yep.
dream. I'm impatient. When am I going to get the money? When am I going to do this? It's all
Yep.
just this whole hurry up and wait. whole thing. And so I love the name of your podcast. It's available on all platforms and YouTube, I'm assuming.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
More video coming next year.
Yes, the video, but what a great, great name and great show. So please check that out. I will link to it also in the show notes. Any last words of wisdom, Laura?
Well, I guess I want to just bring on home that you are unique and beautifully made, and I think you should be unapologetically you.
My favorite thing that you said in this episode is you can't read the label from inside the bottle. I love that because it's so hard to see yourself, the things you need to work on, but also the things that you do so well. It's so hard to really line that out. And that were just key words of wisdom. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's such a great episode. I know everyone learned as much as I did. Until next week, everyone, we're out.